The Nobel Laureate Distinguished Lecture Series is nearing its 10th anniversary and has so far brought 28 Nobel laureates and noted scholars to share their knowledge and research work. Past lectures have spanned diverse fields such as medicine, chemistry, physics, and economics. The last lecture on medicine took place just last month. Today's lecture will examine the implications of the global financial crisis during 2007 and 2010 and what lessons we could learn. Going forward, these precious experience and lessons will certainly help us to avoid financial crisis in the future and to steer the global economy back into sustainable and steady growth.
As we begin, I wish to sincerely thank Dr. Raymond Koch from the Sun Hung Kai Properties for the company's staunch support of the Nobel Laureates Distinguished Lecture Series. You have just heard that it was started in 2004, and we have so far brought in 28 Nobel laureates to this university in the last 10 years. It is now my privilege to introduce to you our star today, Professor Joseph Stiglitz. I was once told that economists always have a crystal ball in their hands, and they can explain every human behavior. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the crystal ball holder, Professor Stiglitz.
Maybe I should give a full disclosure warning in the beginning that I'm talking both about the economy and about economics. So this, being in an academic, in a university, I thought I should not only comment on the implications of the crisis for the economy going forward, but also on the implications for economic theory, because it was a crisis in both economic theory and a crisis in the economy. Prior to the crisis, there was a widespread belief that markets on their own were efficient. But we've known for a long time there is a presumption that with incomplete risk markets and imperfect and asymmetric information, and these are characteristics of every economy, markets are not in general efficient. The reason that the invisible hand often seemed invisible was that it wasn't there. That is to say that in general, markets were not efficient or not perfectly efficient without appropriate government regulation or intervention. I now want to talk a little bit about another set of issues on stability. The question is the economy on its own stable? The market created the problem. The market created the bubble. So that raises the question, are markets on their own stable? Or do they create the fluctuations which they then have a hard time adapting to? And the answer is unambiguously clear, and it's one of the big lessons, is that the most important shocks to the economy are created by the economy itself, in credit cycles and asset bubbles. I think in the future, it's less likely that a single model, a simple but wrong paradigm, will dominate as it did in the past. There are always going to be trade-offs in modeling, greater realism in modeling, banking or shadow banking, modeling, incorporating distributional issues, incorporating financial constraints may necessitate simplifying in other less important directions. New policy frameworks will need to be developed based on this new macroeconomic modeling, with a focus not just on price stability, but also on financial stability. And I believe that there are alternative policies which enhance stability, and once a crisis occurred, are more likely to restore the economy to prosperity. But adopting these policies, one has to break out of the straitjacket of much of conventional macroeconomics. So in conclusion, I think hopefully one of the silver linings in this crisis is continuing is that we've learned some of these lessons, that we've learned some of the lessons, that economists have learned the lessons and the policymakers have learned the lessons, so that we can avoid the kinds of mistakes that led us to the hubris that we have solved the problem of economic fluctuations, that will lead us to policies that will lead to a more active government intervention to make the financial markets work more stably and to make our whole economy work more stably. And if we've done that, maybe we can avoid another crisis of the magnitude that we've just experienced. Thank you.